Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Thursday, January the 7th, 2016. Good to have you out here for a second of three shows this week in the Spotlight 4-1 coming at you on this Thursday night. We have a lot to do, so let's move quickly here. As always, you can feel free to interact and contribute to the show. You can do that by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please remember to use the hashtags, hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag its5 to represent our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. And make sure you like our page upon finding it. All right. So that was quick. Yeah, I'm moving quick. Deal with it. Okay.
Oh, no.
A couple of things right off the top of the show. A couple of little changes. Two changes. First of all, well, one change. One change. First of all, I mentioned to you all tonight that we were going to start. You know, for 2 years, I feel like I've been talking about this because the fans have wanted this for so long. I said that we would start this grand rankings of reality singing competition shows, and then we'd have a separate American Idol rankings list. And I said we'd time it out with the American Idol finale. Well, a number of our fans over the last couple of days have been giving me their feedback on this, and they decide and their thinking was, don't do both, just do one. And they were edging towards doing just an American Idol rankings list, because technically reality singing competition shows are not gone. The Voice is still on the air, so it's still on the air, and it's going to still be on the air next fall. So rather than doing two lists at the same time, we're going to do one. So tonight we will start the process of that American Idol all-time performance ranking list. Now, you've probably on YouTube seen a bunch of these, which is good, because then you can look back at some of these performances and how you do this. Now, here is how we're going to do this, okay? We're not going to unveil the winners, the all-time list, the rankings, until, which I believe is going to be in April. I don't think it's going to be in May this year. I think they're going to do it quickly this year. So right before the week of the finale, we'll probably do it, or maybe the week after. So sometime in April, we will reveal. I'll give you a firm date as we get closer. But for the time being, here's how we're going to start this. And this ain't going to be as comprehensive a thing as the film awards or anything like that. Basically, what you do is this, okay? We are going to, over the next 2 weeks, okay, starting today and going through, I believe, January the 21st, I believe. January the 21st. Until January 21st, you will have the opportunity to submit in, and you can do this by email, by Twitter, by Facebook, however you want to do it. Facebook message, you can post on our Facebook page, anything you want to do. You will have the opportunity to submit in either a YouTube video or some other internet video of the performance of the performances that you think should be submitted, that you believe should be on the all-time list, or you can just simply mention them in email or in a message, a Facebook message or a tweet. Okay, you don't have to necessarily give us the video. It'd be helpful if you did, but you can but you know what? That's up to you. Or you can just simply mention the performance. You don't have to give me. All you have to do is name the performer, name the song they sang, and that's all you really have to do, because that is easy. Okay. So and basically the reason why we're doing this is you're not really voting, but you're giving us some ideas, because we are going to ultimately decide the choices for you all to vote on and to choose from. The reason why we're doing that is this: there has been this is a show that's been on the air for 15 years, okay, going into this year. 14 years going into this year. This is their 15th season. Now, obviously, there are so many performances, audition rounds, Hollywood, a lot of different performances here, hundreds of them. It's really hard to ask people to, it's really hard to vote on every single one of them and go back through all of them. So we're going to make this easy by just allowing the audience, our fans that, are fans of the show, whatever, to push this through. Send us what you have or what you want, what you think should be a part of the nominees for this list or these rankings. and we will take them into consideration along with our own choices, our own selections. And then what we will do is on January the 28th, on January the 28th, we will have a part of the show that in which we will unveil the final nominees for this all-time rankings list. Okay. All right. Well, not final nominees, but the first wave of cuts, I should say. Okay. We will eliminate.
Brian, everybody knows William Hung's She Bangs is going to be the runaway winner here. So
it very well could be. We will have a first wave of cuts on January 28th when we give you that list. That'll be our cuts that we make. And then you'll have a couple weeks to vote on the nominee, and then we'll have another wave of cuts. Okay, so those that get through, that get the highest number of votes, will make it to the next round, and then so on and so forth. So we have a few rounds, and then I think we'll get down to like maybe 50, and we'll try to do like the top 25 of all time or something like that. The particulars I'm going to decide. We're going to kind of go through as we go along, because, and this is something that me and Jeff Tech talked about. For those who know Jeff Tech, one of our former show participants here, technical producer, former technical producer, I should say. He and me talked about this a number of times, and we thought it would be it keeps things interesting if you keep cutting people throughout, and it made it really, depending on popularity and how the fans go about this, and how, like, let's say we decide top 25, but then there's like 5 to 10 performances that got like really close to the top 25. We'll probably toss them out there and say top 35, whatever, and it's something that's negotiable through time based on popular demand. Okay, so I'm not going to say about
like this classic called "You Are My Brother, We Are Friends Forever."
That was a classic. That was fantastic.
That is William's competition, by the way.
Here's the thing. All right, we're going to do this. And again, it's negotiable throughout the rounds, and we'll let you know throughout the rounds, like if we're going to expand it to beyond top 25, whatever. And then, of course, right, like I said, either the week of the final episode or the week after, we'll have like a final like list. It might be top 10, it might be top 25, it might be top 50. We'll let you know throughout based on how the fans kind of vote. And again, if things are close enough to getting in, we'll probably expand the number and go from there. A lot of you asked me, they say, you're doing an all-time performance list. Is this all-time moments, or we're going to do something as we get closer to the final episode that's kind of like more for moments, like maybe a favorite moment of the judges, more something like that. This is just performances, actual singing on the show. This is not like whether you like the comment from Simon Cowell or not. Okay, that's these are actual performances that you're going to be looking at. So that's the way we're going to do it. So you can start doing this right now. Again, email, Facebook, and Twitter. I mentioned the email, Facebook, and Twitter at the top of the show. So just rewind back. That's one of the cool things about streaming. You can just rewind back and get the information. And you'll get that information. You can email us, tweet us, or Facebook us a video of the performance. You can just simply mention the performance, however you want to do it. It's fine with me. And that starts right now. Again, this is all build up to the final episode of American Idol, and that's kind of like our, in conjunction with that. So that's the only one we're going to do. Now, when The Voice inevitably goes off the air, we might decide to do an all-time reality competition show thing. But and a lot of you said, it makes no sense to do that right now when there is still a couple of shows still lingering. So we're not going to do that. We'll leave it alone. We'll just do American Idol since that is the one going off the air this year. So we'll start that tonight. So that's something that you have to look forward to as we go forward here. Again, we'll start that tonight, and we'll announce the first wave of nominees for you all to vote on January the 28th. The deadline for early submissions is January the 21st. On January 28th, we will unveil the first wave of nominees, and that will reveal who was cut. Who was going to make the final cut, the first cut anyway, of those selections. So January 21st, early submissions due. January 28th, we will reveal the first wave of nominees for you all to vote on as part of the all-time American Idol performance rankings list. All right, the Film Awards. something that I said we might start tonight or we may not. We are not going to start that tonight. I figured with the American Idol stuff, we should leave it alone. Too much information for one night. So we will begin that process next Thursday. And I'll also let you all know the important dates you need to remember, when we're going to, all that kind of stuff on next Thursday's show. So keep that in mind. Those are the two big announcements. Again, as for the rest of our schedule, obviously we're on the air tonight. Tomorrow we'll be on the air at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for the In the Spotlight Football Blitz. Coming at you at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, we'll obviously look back at last week's NFL games, the last week of the regular season, look ahead to Wild Card Weekend, run through all the college football bowl games, and tune in the two awful playoff games. Really, all the bowls this year were just awful, really, truly. So that won't be much to talk about. I was worried about length of show tomorrow, but I don't think we're going to have a problem with that anymore. And then, of course, we'll preview the national championship game on Monday, which, again, should be very underwhelming, I think. But we'll talk all about that tomorrow on the Football Blitz at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Next week, 3 shows again. Tuesday and Thursday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. And, of course, in the Spotlight Football Blitz, more than likely coming at you next Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Bless you, Mike.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's the run through for this week and for next week. We'll let you all know more about what we're going to be doing next week. As obviously we'll be doing our usual sports and wrestling stuff on Tuesday, entertainment on Thursday, but sometimes we throw in some different topics, etc. So let you all know more about that next week. Another thing, we did unveil our new host site, Podbean, on yesterday, just like planned. Although apparently there are some issues with some of the episodes, which I am currently working on. Because remember, with the new stuff, the Google Hangouts and YouTube stuff, it all transfers over and transfers into audio. There are a few issues, and there are some things that I have to work on. So don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed if you go there and some episodes aren't really done editing and stuff yet. We're still working out some kinks, but it's that the episodes aren't transferring to iTunes yet. I'm working on that as well, so bear with us. I think all the kinks will be worked out by next week, but it is up. We do have it. So if you're interested in listening to us in an audio format and catching up on our shows, listening to past shows from before our days here on Hangouts and on YouTube, you can go over there and you'll find all of our episodes in one place. It's going to be once it's all done, it's going to be very convenient. But right now, there are a couple technical glitches. So just bear with us as we work those out. I just want to let people know that I have heard the complaints and I know about the issues. It's a work in progress. So just bear with us with that. All right. So that's all the announcements I have to get through, all the reminders. Mike's been on the air with me when we started, so I haven't gotten the chance in the last couple of shows to say you're in the spotlight, Mike, but you are in the spotlight. So there you go.
Thank you.
Right. I also want to, off the top of the show, mention something really quick because, and again, this is something more important than anything that we will talk about here tonight. And a lot of people might not know of this actor, but Pat Harrington, Daniel Patrick Harrington Jr., but more known for being Pat Harrington Jr., passed away yesterday. And for those that do not know him, he's an American actor. He did some stage. He played Schneider on the CBS show One Day at a Time. That's what he's probably most known for. He did a lot of voice acting work as well. He is a tremendous actor that did a lot of things. He did quite a couple among the shows. He did like Columbo. He's done some voice acting for. There was a Superman Aquaman thing in the 60s that I know he was a voice actor for. I think he played the Atom in that. Voiced the Atom in that. He's done various things, like he appeared on The King of Queens once before. I know that. Hot in Cleveland. He was involved in the Pink Panther cartoon TV show. So he's done a lot of voice work. He's a very known actor, done a lot of things. He was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. So and he was in a hospital nurse, so he suffered a brain hemorrhage. So he's been really it's been really a struggle for him. He died at the age of 86. Yes, so we obviously want to extend our condolences and thoughts and prayers to his family, friends, and loved ones and fans, and may he rest in peace. It's obviously again, he's done a lot of things you probably don't even realize. You probably heard of him in something or seen him in something and didn't even pay attention to it, but he's done a lot of things over the years. So yeah, we again, may rest in peace, and thoughts and prayers and condolences to his fans, friends, and family. Pat Harrington Jr., who passed away yesterday at the age of 86. All right, now here's what the agenda is for today. We weren't going to do it with, one of the things that we do on the show is, yes, we do sports and wrestling on Tuesdays and entertainment on Thursdays, but sometimes we mix the two, either due to time or because of breaking news, and so something news breaks, something important happens. Whether it doesn't usually fit on that show, like let's say a big sports or wrestling news thing breaks. Let's say a big sports or wrestling story breaks. Well, we'll cover it on an entertainment show because we cover all those all the time. We don't, even though we dedicate, usually we try to stay on like entertainment Thursdays, sports wrestling Tuesdays. If an important story breaks, I don't feel like should wait until the next show that we focus on that particular content. We cover it. We like during the NBA playoffs, we do NBA playoff coverage, even on our entertainment shows. Sometimes we do entertainment stories on Tuesday on a sports wrestling show. So we do these things because we try to keep up to date and try to talk about things as they happen. If they're worthy of being, if they're important enough that I feel like they should be talked about right away. And there is a wrestling story that is huge. And look, wrestling does cross over into entertainment, so it does fit more than maybe a sports story would on an entertainment show. But one of the things I decided to add to it today, because we didn't have a lot of entertainment stuff to have to work through, was some wrestling stuff, because it's been a big story since last night when this broke. If we don't cover what's happened with John Cena, we'd be completely, we wouldn't be on our game if we didn't cover it. So we're going to start off with a little wrestling content tonight by covering the John Cena news, which broke last night concerning him having to have shoulder surgery. We'll talk about that along with a couple other wrestling news, pieces of wrestling news that maybe kind of tie in with it. And then we'll get to our usual entertainment stuff, box office beat, which is not going to be very long at all. It's basically Star Wars and more Star Wars. TV highlights of the weekend, a couple other sports, I should say entertainment stories that we're going to cover, including the American Idol premiere, last night's People's Choice Awards, which, don't worry, it's going to be a rant. It's not going to be a, thing. And some interesting casting news regarding Emma Stone. We'll be talking about that in the entertainment portion of the program. As I said, we're going to start with wrestling because it is the breaking news that's dominated a lot of headlines today. John Cena, who is now he has now at this point undergone shoulder surgery for what is believed to be either a torn rotator cuff or a torn labrum in his shoulder. It is expected that he will miss WrestleMania 32. We don't know exactly how long after that it will be until he returns. A lot will be known once he begins rehab on the shoulder, but it has been said he will miss WrestleMania 32. I know with Cena, you never know. He can heal quick. We all know how he is. He's like a robot, but this thing, people are saying they don't think there's any way that he can possibly do this. Even if he comes back early, they think, there would be no way to build a match or whatever. So, he has been ruled out for WrestleMania 32. First of all, there's a lot of people wondering how this happened, because he just came back last week. He worked a match with Del Rio. Did he get injured in that match? Nobody really knows. Although it has been said that he has been having a lot of problems with his shoulder, among other injuries, over the last couple months. It might have been one of those things, kind of like what happened with Randy Orton, where it was a problem. It was a minor problem, but because they kept trying to work through it, it got worse. WWE's had a lot of shoulder injuries this year. And Cesaro, who's one of John Cena's training partners, has a similar thing going on. So There's a couple of layers to this story here. One, John Cena missing WrestleMania and what that does. Obviously, WWE is in like kind of a total panic here. Now, I guess he was not, according to what I'm reading today, he was not supposed to be in the Royal Rumble. He was going to work a match with Alberto Del Rio at the Royal Rumble. So it doesn't look like he was meant to be in the Rumble match. So they might not have to alter anything there. Obviously, they'd have to alter the plans for Alberto Del Rio, which we'll get to in a few moments. But obviously WrestleMania, the talk, it's looking like today, based on everything I'm reading, that he was supposed to face The Undertaker. Which there are a lot of rumors that, and this is the first I've heard of him today. And what gets me is I'm hearing them from people that are actually legit sources, or at least I would consider them legit. I won't name them. I just read them on some message boards, some dirt sheets. Apparently, that match was looked at as a retirement match for Undertaker, which is the first I've heard of it. I knew that these two might face each other, but I didn't know that there was a retirement thing going on. So you got that part of this. And then you have the part of this, which is what a lot of people are saying about WWE right now, is that if this doesn't get Vince McMahon and the whole entire company to take notice of all the injuries they've sustained, they have got to do something about the training of these guys and something about the workload of these guys. And a lot of people are advocating for the brand split again to kind of get these guys, because some of these guys are working both Raw and SmackDown shows, TV and live shows. It's too much on these guys. And it's especially for a guy that's 38 years old and worked through as much as John Cena has. I think you're going to see in response to this, and this is another part of the story, you're going to see them change the training, the way they work these guys. They're going to have to do something, because this is people are getting injured. Like Sasha Banks apparently is now injured. Cena's out, Rollins is out, Cesaro's out, Daniel Bryan may or may not be out. Who knows? Sting is out. Randy Orton's out. Now, granted, not all of these were due to training or anything like that, but still, it begs the question. WWE probably has to look at things here and say, something's going on here, because this is way too much. So, Mike, there's a lot going on here. What are your thoughts?
Oh, really, I don't care. With John Cena, it's a blow. Because, look, I don't believe that was going to be Undertaker's last match. It's not. I have a feeling his last match would probably be against someone like Kane, Mm-hmm. So they both kind of go out on their own terms.
Right.
It'll just be like an epic kind of moment,
Right.
I don't feel like that was supposed to be Undertaker's last match. It might have been his last match for a while because it is Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I'm pretty sure Undertaker was going to work another match or 3 or 5 or whatever.
Right.
Because despite being 54, he's actually in some of the best shape he's ever been in ever. So take that as you will,
Yeah.
As for Cena, it is a loss. It is a blow for them. Because they kind of needed him for the star power for the show, and they don't have him. So it's a huge kind of blow for them. No lie. So, and honestly, with going to the brand split, because now I guess my thoughts are kind of like all over the place now. With the brand split, they probably should have instituted that back a while ago. Excuse me. And yes, I admit, I was one of those people kind of calling for the end of it because they went out of their way to make SmackDown not as important. They need it out of necessity right now. They need the world title back. They need the brand split out of necessity. So these guys can take a break. However, this brings up the question they have. This brings up the point, not the question, that they have to make SmackDown important again. They can't just say, "Oh, that's on USA now. Hey, Cena was on an episode. You're fine."
Mm-hmm.
They have to make SmackDown important again. They have to build the brand around somebody. They can't build it around Roman Reigns. Nobody gives a shit about him. They have to build it around the next big upcoming star. Or they have to elevate a star to Cena level. That isn't Roman Reigns. And you have to make them exclusive to SmackDown. So you give people a draw. And they all come together and wrestle on they wrestle on the pay-per-views. Or you split the pay-per-views again, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. But you, out of necessity, you need to kind of split the brands. Just for these guys, because look, they're all getting injured. They're all look. Truth is, professional wrestling is everybody works hurt. Everybody's hurt. If you're not hurt in professional wrestling, then you're not working hard enough. Goes like the old saying. Everybody's hurt. Everybody works hurt. It's 2016, though. Why does everybody have to work hurt? Why does everybody have to always be injured?
Right.
I understand it's a sense of pride for these guys, but let's wake up, guys. The old ways of the business are slowly fading away. And it's time for these guys. It's time for like WWE to take better care of these guys and these women, the men and women who actually go out there and perform. Sasha Banks is hurt. That's a huge blow because that was probably your WrestleMania Divas match or women's wrestlers match. See, I don't know where they go from here for the Divas because for whatever reason, I'm not going to spoil it, but they screw up that Divas match tonight. It's like, hey, let's extend it to the Rumble because this hasn't happened a million times before.
I wonder if maybe they did what they did there because that's going to end up being their WrestleMania program if Sasha's out.
See, I don't think Sasha's going to be out, though.
I mean, if we find out she is, then it would make sense. But if she isn't, then it doesn't make sense. But
it would make sense. But the fact is, you haven't really done anything to build her up.
True.
She's only beaten Charlotte once, I should say. And then you kind of go back to the status quo of booking her. It's like, come on, get over it.
Right.
You have to put her over everybody at this point. But I digress. So Tyson Kidd being a loss because it was like, oh, Tyson Kidd's injured. Tyson Kidd was never going to factor into their plans pretty big.
Right.
He never was. Cesaro, he was gaining momentum, but it's hard to say where he was going to figure into their plans this year. Seth Rollins was a blow. Seth Rollins was a huge blow. That messed up all of their plans. John Cena's a blow. Randy Orton's a blow. Because Randy Orton probably would have put somebody over. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's hard to say.
Sting was one too.
Sting was a big blow because that was a big money match.
Right.
And now you've got all of these WrestleMania, some of these WrestleMania matches in flux. You're talking about Undertaker and Cena, and there's some rumors that Cena was going to go over, which would have been the dumbest move, and I think WWE in the end knew that. That was a huge blow because now Undertaker doesn't have a match.
Right.
Well, who does Undertaker wrestle? Does he wrestle Brock again? No, you've done that match a lot. Is he again? No, you've done that match a lot. The only guy that comes up that has kind of enough credibility to wrestle the Undertaker is Sheamus, and you've pretty much buried his credibility having him put over Roman Reigns.
Right. You could always go. I mean, you could always do Kane if you had to.
You could do Kane. Kane is the only other name that makes sense. But if you're going to do Kane, one of them's going to retire.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Kane wants to retire that quickly. Or you could even do the Big Show, of all people. Undertaker versus Big Show.
Mm.
Big Show would put over Undertaker real quick. And if Big Show's sandbagging the match, you want to see Undertaker go to town on the guy?
Yeah.
Undertaker will beat the shit out of the Big Show. So their plans are kind of in flux now. They don't know what they're doing. But they didn't know what they were doing before this, so wash. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if anything, it just means they're going to rush some of these guys that they're coming into. And it might mean that they'd have to clear Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So Daniel Bryan might be activated for Mania, especially if you get a match with him, like him and AJ Styles. And you could bet their ass they're going to ban the Styles Clash because that move is just fucking dangerous. You bet they're going to ban the Styles Clash, but you're probably going to have you might have Bryan versus AJ. If you can get your hands on Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan versus Shinsuke Nakamura could be a hell of a hard-hitting 15, 20-minute match, which I wouldn't do because Daniel Bryan is fragile. And Shinsuke, of course, is known as the king of strong style, which means he's working stiff and you're dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have Daniel Bryan in matches where guys are working stiff with him. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But now pieces that weren't on the board before have to be on the board now.
Right.
Cena's injury kind of opens things up for them. But if anything, it kind of stresses the fact that you need to build new guys. You need to build more guys. And those guys can't just be named Roman Reigns.
Right.
You have to build up Dean Ambrose. You have to build up Kevin Owens. You have to build up, I don't even know, Cesaro. There's a good major face that could draw. You have to build up another big credible heel like Rusev or Sheamus. Or, Del Rio's going to be around for a little bit. You got to build up a big Latin star. Kalisto would be your guy.
Bray Wyatt.
Guys, Bray Wyatt. Could that guy please get motivated to win a world championship? That's what I would like to see. Could Bray Wyatt get off his ass and get motivated to win a world title?
That'd be an interesting idea for a match. Rusev versus Undertaker.
If they didn't spend all of 2015 burying the crap out of Rusev,
yeah, that would have been good.
That would have been an excellent match. I feel like him and Rusev would have had a good match. But these are guys you can build around. And I'm not even talking about the NXT guys still waiting to come up. Joe, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Baron Corbin. I'm not talking Apollo Crews. I'm not talking about those guys. Sami Zayn, especially Sami Zayn. I'm not talking about those guys. You've got a core of stars up here now. But you have to build around them.
Right.
And they'd rather just build around Roman Reigns.
That's right.
That's not going to go well for them.
It's. I've heard rumors that people say they'll probably have John Cena host WrestleMania, just so they can get him on the show. Which I guess that you could do that. You could just have him in a non-wrestling role, just host the show. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't. Maybe they use that to set something up later on or something. I don't know. But what's really interesting is this. You and you were texting about this earlier, and you're right. They do have options, but the problem is they've really buried a lot of those options over the last couple months.
Oh yeah. Hey, Kevin Owens, you ate clean pinfalls with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. Nice job.
Sheamus
and Neville. Fuck yeah. Neville. You had Dean Ambrose. You made him a non-factor in the Roman Reigns build-up. You had, oh God, who else did you have?
Sheamus, Rusev.
Oh, Sheamus and Rusev. Sheamus could have been one of your big current heels, but God, way to make him unimportant.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Way to make him unimportant.
They
It's
do.
like you sacrifice. Go ahead.
They do. I mean, they do have options. The problem is, now I can understand maybe if they don't want to have like a face versus the Undertaker because they don't want to turn somebody heel. I can understand it. Like, okay, we don't want to run Ambrose versus Undertaker because it might turn him heel, although Ambrose probably would love that. We don't want to have Daniel Bryan. Well, I don't think anything turns Daniel Bryan heel at this point. But, you know, I mean, I can understand if they want to run a face, but you could have said, you know what? Let's build one of these guys up, like a Rusev or like a Sheamus, so that we have somebody for the Undertaker. Like this company used to have a plan B. Yeah. Now it's like it's like, and you know, ever since WrestleMania 28, when they, you know, well, maybe actually the year before that, when they started, remember they did the Rock Cena match a year ahead of time. They planned it a year ahead of time.
Yep.
Ever since then, now Vince, the next day after WrestleMania, has to have his matches for next year planned out. And it's like they don't want to see anything else unless they have to. Like somebody goes down injury or somebody leaves the company or so, you know, unless something out of their control happens to derail that match, they're going to stick to that match. And they're not going to do a plan B or a plan C. And that's not the way they used to operate. They used to think, okay, we could do this match, we could do this match, we can do this match. And if this doesn't work out, we do this match. And they'd keep certain guys strong enough at the top so that if person A goes down, person B can slide right in.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that anymore. And that's because they only worry about those top matches and they book those a year in advance. And that's all the people they care about booking. That's it. And everybody else is getting the scraps. And then they get in a situation like this and they're like, uh-oh. Like, well, now you're going to get like streamlined. They're going to look at a couple guys and going to say, okay, let's streamline them to the top. Remember, it reminds me of a couple years ago when Bray Wyatt was facing The Undertaker. All of a sudden they decided that Bray Wyatt was going to face Taker, right? What did they do? They put him over everybody, including Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And you know, in the year before that, he was facing Cena. What did they do? They put him over everybody, including the Ambrose. You see what I'm saying? It's like all of a sudden they think, all right, we got to build this guy up, but then you screwed other people throughout that to do that. Instead of slowly building him up over the year to face the Undertaker or put him in a position, you had to rush it because all of a sudden around August or September, you decide that's what you're going to do because your plan A didn't work out.
Well, that's the problem. Right now in WWE, there are too many guys who can't take a loss.
Exactly. Yep.
And there are not enough guys to put them up against.
Right.
So.
And like it was funny. Some of the things I was reading last night. Well, I wonder if Vince will call CM Punk.
Well, I imagine he might.
He probably will.
Oh, we need your Punk. That's great.
Well, there's one guy we know can get a good. There's one guy we know would have a good match with the Undertaker.
He's not coming back to the Undertaker.
No. He's already done that. I mean, and it was great. It was great.
Show.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, maybe they'll run Jericho at Undertaker." You know, I don't know, but here's the thing. It's going to be a very interesting couple months now because everything is what I mean. We talked about this Tuesday night. I said one of the things I like about this Rumble, and there's a lot not to like, but there's a lot. One of the things I like is that we really don't have an idea of what they're going to do. We really don't. I'm hearing that Brock is going to be in the Rumble,
which means I'd keep Kevin Owens out of it.
Right, but if Brock's in the Rumble, Brock's winning the Rumble. Let's be honest here. There's no way. People want to talk about predictability with Reigns in the Rumble. If Brock Lesnar's in the Rumble, Brock Lesnar is winning the Rumble, and he's going to go. He's going in, and now apparently Brock Lesnar and Jericho are on the schedule for Fastlane. Well, then that means probably Brock is going to defend the title there.
Yep.
So that pretty much I'm not saying that makes me write off the entire Rumble match because there's going to be some interesting storylines there. But come on now, that just as much gives. I wouldn't have said that. I would have just had Brock come back and, try to fight to get in the Rumble. Have Brock be a surprise in the Rumble. I wouldn't have given it away because that pretty much tells you Brock Lesnar's winning the Royal Rumble, which I don't have an issue with, to be honest. He's better than Roman Reigns.
He's a more credible champion than Roman Reigns.
I mean, and that really, having him with the title and having somebody like if you have Kevin Owens chasing that, that's going to instantly make things intriguing. So
honest to God, if Brock Lesnar has the championship, Kevin Owens is his challenger at WrestleMania. That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
That's your title match. It's booked. If it's Brock Lesnar with the title, it's Kevin Owens. If it's Kevin Owens with the title, he's wrestling either Brock Lesnar, The Rock, or The Undertaker.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Agreed. I agree. It's gonna be really interesting to see how it all lays out. I'm very interested in seeing what happens. I'm very interested now. I mentioned that John Cena was supposed, and let me just say this out, because we say a lot of things about Cena and stuff. I do wish him well, and I wish him a speedy recovery.
Yes.
He does a lot, and he's, you hear things about behind the scenes and everything, but generally he seems like a good guy. So we wish him well, and that he recovers quickly. I mentioned the U.S. title. He was supposed to face Alberto Del Rio in a U.S. title match at the Rumble. He was not supposed to be in the Rumble, apparently. Well, apparently, because WWE knew about this Monday night, apparently that's why Cena didn't wrestle on Raw or on SmackDown. Remember how, Mike, you said you thought he was going to come back and he never did?
Yeah.
That's why. And apparently that's why Kalisto got the clean win over Del Rio. Kalisto is going to get the match with Del Rio at Rumble, and he's probably going to win. So
I agree with that one.
So I actually like where they went with this. They don't get Cena, but they're going to give a push to a guy that deserves it and a guy that needs to get a push. So this is a good thing. They made something out of this. So this is a good thing that they're using the U.S. title to push Kalisto. So that's a good thing. And you can carry that all the way into Mania if you need to.
I would, because, look, Kalisto feuding with Alberto Del Rio is a big kind of thing. It's like the reverse Rey Mysterio, where they use Rey Mysterio at every opportunity to get over Kalisto or get over Del Rio.
Right.
Del Rio can use all these opportunities to get Kalisto over.
Right. It's a good thing. He already got the clean win. He's supposed to get the match at the Rumble. Now they can either have Del Rio screw Kalisto over or have Kalisto win there. They can keep the program going any which way they want. Ultimately, it would end with Kalisto winning, obviously, which I don't have. But still, I mean, that's the right. They made a good move there. So, which probably means it was a Triple H move.
Yep.
All right, so let's get to a couple other little things. Both these stories kind of tie in together. There was a lot of talk that we talked on Tuesday about the apparent impending signing of a couple of actually more than a couple, 4 stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling. It wasn't confirmed. WWE.com did pick up the story, hinted at it, no comment. But since then, we have heard a lot of it get confirmed, including apparently Shinsuke Nakamura, who has said he will be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling at the end of this month. So we are getting bits of this confirmed now. One of the big stories today, and we don't really know one way or the other, concerns the rights to the Bullet Club, which is obviously, Nakamura and Finn Balor was the former leader of the Bullet Club.
Nakamura had no affiliation with
Nakamura. I thought Nakamura was in the Bullet Club.
No, Nakamura was in a group called Chaos.
Okay, all right.
It had nothing to do with
Okay, so
Bullet Club.
AJ Styles and Kyle Anderson were in there. I know that.
Yes, they were.
Okay, all right. And who else? Was Doc Gallows in there?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so I just got that wrong. All right, so you can tell I don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, but I got some of it right. Give me that much. All right, so with them signing 3 Bullet Club members, there's a lot of talk today about the rights to the Bullet Club, because if you look on ProWrestlingTees.com, they made a comment, a tweet about how WWE owned the rights now to the Bullet Club. Now they clarified it, saying that that was a joke, uh, and that WWE is simply going to be pushing the Balor Club thing and aligning these guys with Balor. And then there's another
Yeah.
report that says that no, WWE is getting the rights to it. It just hasn't the deal. It's just not done yet.
Well, as of right now, according to the U.S. Patent Office, because somebody looked into it, God bless them, New Japan still owns the American rights, the worldwide rights to the name Bullet Club.
Mm-hmm.
So New Japan owns the Bullet Club
Right.
as of right now.
As of right now, right.
Well, if that changes, but the thing is, for New Japan to lose the Bullet Club name makes no sense, even though it feels like they're going to lose the entire Bullet Club. Because you texted me earlier. Well, there's other members of the Bullet Club kind of in contention now. Essentially, it's just going to be Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Yujiro Takahashi in the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Now in Cody Hall.
Right.
That's going to be the Bullet Club because look, AJ's gone. They eliminated him already. Kenny Omega took over leadership. Well, Gallows and Anderson are leaving. Okay. There's rumors about the underboss, Bedluck Fale. There's rumors about Tama Tonga, who is probably the surest thing to be gone. Of
right.
Any member that is kind of hinted and rumored at, Tama Tonga is gone. And I texted you this because if WWE shows any interest in the guy,
right,
Tonga's gone. Tama Tonga's gone because, and I texted you this. It's a couple reasons.
Yeah.
The first is the dude is Samoan. He knows guys in WWE. He's close with guys in WWE, and he's family with guys in WWE.
Right.
Number two, New Japan has done jack and shit with this guy.
Right.
New Japan has done nothing with this dude. He is one of the members of the Bullet Club has done nothing. And it's not his fault because New Japan trained him. He was part of the New Japan dojo. He was one of the founding members of the Bullet Club. All he really does is kind of team with the members of the Bullet Club who aren't really doing anything at the time.
Right.
So for a chance for a major company to kind of do something with him, he would jump on that, especially someone like WWE who usually pushes guys who look. See, there's a difference between guys like Rikishi, Umaga, God rest his soul, Fatu, like the bigger Samoan guys, other than Yokozuna, they didn't really push him to the top level. But guys like Roman Reigns and The Rock, who look like $1 million, Vince sees like dollars.
Right.
Tama Tonga looks like Roman Reigns and The Rock. So he is like, Vince McMahon would probably see this dude and be like, oh, there's money. Let's face it, the dude's got charisma. The dude is a former veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, well, we could do stuff with this right now, you know?
Right.
So Tama Tonga's gone.
Yeah.
So, but as of right now, going back to the original point, New Japan owns the Bullet Club name. They own the Bullet Club, the rights to the Bullet Club. However, Doc Gallows owns the rights to the nickname BizCliz, which is an offshoot of the Bullet Club name. BizCliz is kind of like a nickname for the Bullet Club.
Right.
And Doc owns it.
I do know that apparently I guess the Bucks were tweeting about the Elite and mentioning that them and Omega were the Elite of the Bullet Club, and there's even Elite T-shirts out on Pro Wrestling Tees. So I think that kind of fed the speculation, like maybe they're trying to get a new name over because they were losing the Bullet Club name. Who knows? I mean, they might get it, they might not. But while we're on the subject of the New Japan Pro Wrestling guys, Daniel Bryan made some waves today because on Twitter he linked to the WWE article hinting at the signings of these guys and said, and this is a quote, "Can WWE clear me already?"
It's still on Twitter.
It's still on Twitter. Well, honestly, what does he have to lose? He doesn't care.
No, he's probably the most over guy in the company right now. And honestly, they might.
And we all know he wants to wrestle Nakamura. So
there's history there.
Yeah, he's made it clear in interviews. So yeah,
there is history there. I don't know how many people know this, but Nakamura and Daniel Bryan actually roomed together in Los Angeles for a little bit. When Nakamura trained in America and Daniel Bryan was training in California. It was actually, believe it or not, it was New Japan. New Japan actually had a dojo in America where they trained wrestlers. Daniel Bryan trained there,
right,
and Nakamura trained there for a little bit. So, and I think Samoa Joe actually trained there. I could be wrong about that. But in the American dojo, they roomed together. They're friends, and well, Daniel Bryan really likes the guy. Shinsuke Nakamura is money. They'd have a fantastic match. I wouldn't put Daniel Bryan near the guy. But let's be clear here. That is the guy he wants to wrestle.
Right.
And I don't blame him for wanting to wrestle him. It's just that Daniel Bryan, I need to treat with kid gloves because he's an injury risk.
Right.
If you won't tone down his style, I don't know how he could get cleared, but he needs to be cleared for WrestleMania. So, rock and hard place. If anything, I'd put him against Styles. Him and Styles always have good matches.
Right.
So who knows?
Who knows? I mean, to me, it was really interesting because at first I saw the tweet and I'm like, what is he doing? He's gonna come off like he's begging and that. But then I'm realizing, you know what? What the heck does he got to lose? And you know what? I do feel for the guy. Like so much has been said about why they're keeping out. Oh, it's a conspiracy. It's also that they don't have him go over, so that they don't put Reigns in an uncomfortable position again. You know, all these things, and then WWE, the whole concussion thing, and there's a lot of theories out there. But generally speaking, I mean, let's be honest here. This guy has had a concussion problem.
Yep.
And you can't really, in this day and age, with everything going on in the NFL and WWE, you can't blame the WWE for being cautious with this guy about concussion. And remember, here's the other thing too. You know, everybody's sitting there like, oh, they got to bring Daniel Bryan back, have him win the Rumble, be in a main title match of wrestling. Here's the thing. If I were WWE, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I mean, he should have gotten a Rumble win. We all know that. But at the same time, WWE gave this guy 2 years ago, they put him over pretty much all of Evolution in one Mania. Put the title on him, and 2 months later, he had to vacate it because he got injured. All right, that's fine. You know what? You got injured. No big deal. Then the year after, he comes back, after, is he healthy enough? Is he not healthy enough? And apparently he wasn't because, a lot of things were going on, and then he gets hurt again. They put the Intercontinental title on him, and he gets hurt again. It's not for neck, then there's a concussion. I don't think you can invest a lot in Daniel Bryan at this point. If you want to slap the WWE title on him for a month or something, that might be fine. But I don't think you can do a long, sustained reign with him because you just don't know when the other shoe might drop with him anymore. He works too stiff a style, and with his injury history and him working the way he does, it's too risky to do that. There's some guys that work a very stiff style, but they don't have the injury history, so you let them get by with it. He has the injury history. And you can't blame them for going, you know what, Daniel, we're being very cautious here. I don't think, I don't blame people for having their theories, but at the same time, I think on the surface, I really think WWE is kind of trying to not only protect himself, but protect him. Because he does have quite the history, especially with concussions. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see. I didn't think we'd see Daniel Bryan before WrestleMania. I think the chances have gone up now. How much I don't know, but I think the chances have gone up now certainly. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, we covered enough wrestling. Let's get to the entertainment stuff because that is what we usually do here on Thursday night. And we will start off as we always do.
I have an entertainment story.
Go ahead.
Really quick. Tequila's Twitter, if anybody remembers her. She went insane. Either she went insane or somebody hacked her.
Okay.
I don't understand, but she's blaming liberals for everything. She claimed that she's dead and somehow in this world and has ascended into a higher plane of reality. She calls it the Tila-verse. She claims the dude is an android. She claims a lot of us are androids.
A lot of us have androids.
She does work with the CIA. She is currently undergoing level 14 of her super soldier training program. She is one of the chosen ones. We are all zombie sheeple. She's afraid that she is going to be targeted like Bill Cosby. Something about flat Earth and thinking outside the box in Earth prison. She has already died. She is dead serious. You are all dead and you're just dreaming right now. So she's in the Matrix. Liberals are the reason why the world's ending. And you should join her hotspot. Mexicans are really hard workers. And oh God, this is really racist. Just give them a few Coronas in their head. Oh my God. So if you would like to, for Twitter entertainment, look at Tequila's Twitter account. It might just be the most entertaining thing you see all day.
Wow, that sounds really interesting.
Wow. Tequila just revealed herself to be a flat earther, or as we call it, she was probably hacked by somebody.
Yeah.
Or is on some really nasty trip.
Yeah. All right. So wow, that's interesting. Whew.
Let's face it, it's more interesting than the box office, or literally American Idol, or literally any other entertainment story.
You're probably not wrong, but anyway, this week's box office beat report here. It's going to be very simple, just like it was last week, because number one, there was really no new releases. You had the Hateful Eight, which expanded. That was pretty much it. And it did well. Did about, maybe could did a little bit better, but again, I think they expanded it on Wednesday, so it kind of hurts the weekend number when you do that. We all know that from past experience. It's still putting, I think, at 15.7 million. Daddy's Home with a good haul of 29.2. Star Wars 90.2. So it did not get that third $100 million weekend. But see, here's the problem with when the holidays fall on a Friday. If New Year's falls on a Friday, then over the weekend you have people going home. Okay, there might be people because let's be honest, some people have been away for 2 weeks, and then some people take the opportunity to start making their way home. Especially if they have a long trip on Saturday, so they can rest on Sunday before going back to their usual activities on Monday. So that kind of hurts you, and that's why you might have looked at Star Wars numbers, had a solid New Year's Day, like most movies did, and then a decent Saturday, like most movies did, and Sunday was just everything fell. And that really was going to be what happened. Because that, if you didn't travel Saturday, you traveled Sunday. And then that's a day and people are going, getting kids ready to go back to school and, getting ready to go back to work. So reality kind of set in. And if you look at it, and look, now the real story begins. Because, look, we all knew the box office would do well over the holidays when people are home, especially Star Wars. We all knew that. Now, where does it go from here? Now the trajectory starts to turn. We get into the new year. new releases. January is actually a pretty stacked month of some big releases. And then, of course, the big headline: how far does Star Wars go? Star Wars, of course, it's got its first big record yesterday. I mean, it's had a lot of box office records, opening weekend, stuff like that. But it's all first big all-time record as far as like being forever in like first place in something, or for a long time anyway. It got the all-time domestic record yesterday by passing Avatar. It now through Wednesday stands at $764.4 million. Its week has been okay. It's been decent enough. It's pulling, I think, 8 million Monday, 8 million Tuesday. It did 6.2 yesterday. Currently, it stands at 1.5 million worldwide. It will probably get to 1.6 going into the weekend, today's numbers, because you count worldwide. Now, that's going to be the interesting storyline over the next month, because we're going to see how far Star Wars can go. I think most people, it's going to be number 2 all-time worldwide. It's going to pass Titanic. Okay, it's going to get to like 1.7, 1.8 just this weekend alone. How well it does in Japan.
In China.
China, pardon me. I'm sorry. Wow. We've been talking so much about New Japan. How well it does in China is going to determine where this movie ends up. Because here's the thing: it made $90 million last week. It is not going to make anywhere near that this weekend. If it gets 50 million, I'll be surprised. I'm going with 40. Okay, I'm going with 40. But you figure it makes 40 million here. You know, so let's count on another. You figure it gets to about maybe 1.89 this weekend with China, around 2 million. If it can get to 2 billion this weekend, I think it has a really good chance at Avatar. I really do. It has to get to 2 billion this weekend, and it has to hold good in China next weekend. And assuming it holds as well as I think it will over these next couple weekends, because once it'll get a nice boost for Martin Luther King Day weekend, because all movies do. But after that weekend, that's really when it's gonna lose it. You know, it ain't gonna be pulling any $8 million days in the middle of the week, or $6 million days. In fact, it probably won't be doing that beyond this week. But after Martin Luther King Day weekend, it's probably 20 million after that weekend. And that's when it's going to be very hard to accumulate and build. So ideally, it wants to get to at least 2 billion, I should say, this weekend. Ideally. And then hopefully get to around 2.5-ish after Martin Luther King weekend. I know that's very ambitious, but I never thought it was a slam dunk. I thought a week ago it had a very good chance. Now it seems to be losing more ground domestically than it does internationally.
Which is usually the case anyway, but still.
And I think the issue is, and we all know piracy becomes an issue, and look, let's be honest too. You know, as far as the mainstream, like diehard Star Wars fans are going to keep going back for more. But as far as the mainstream goes, they probably already seen it once or twice already. They're not going to keep going back. So and unlike Avatar, which sold itself as an experience, Star Wars is selling itself as, you know, nostalgia, and of course, just being a good movie. So it will only go so far. Realistically speaking, I think this weekend is the interesting one because of China. We don't know what's going to happen with China. You know, there's been talk that it won't do as well there. You know, if it ends up pulling in more than expected in China and ends up doing maybe better than 40 million in the U.S. this weekend, then I think a little bit more hope is put back into play. But I think it needs something to go to be a little bit more than expected to kind of get back to where I think it has a good chance. We know it's going to get number 2 worldwide. It's already the top grossing domestic film. So it's not like, look, if it doesn't beat Avatar, nobody's going to be like, oh God, it's a flop. All right? But it's something that I think a lot of people got all hyped for because it was pulling in these ridiculous amounts of money. Remember something, people are home. They have more time. And they have more opportunity. Once you start going back to school and work and such, You know, and the other thing you got to remember too about this weekend, not just in regards to Star Wars, but all the movies, starting this weekend, you start dealing with the NFL and the playoffs. That and it's not just on Sunday now; it's on Saturday. So you got that going for you, going against it too. And you know, and another thing too is right after Christmas, some people use their movie gift cards and stuff. That helps business too. My people might not have those available anymore. So it's, you know, it's a little bit of a different round now. You're back to normalcy here, where it's not so easy to get people's attention. You have to work a little bit more harder for it. So obviously, I expect Star Wars to win this weekend. I'm thinking 40 million or so. Um, there's only really one true new release this weekend. That's a movie called The Forest. It's a horror film, opening in 2,451 theaters. You've probably seen ads for it. It's PG-13. I don't expect that to do very much. It is a glorified independent release. Expanding its release this week is The Revenant. It's expanding to 3,375 theaters. It's an action-adventure movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy. It's already made 1.5 million domestic, R-rated. So it's not going to do great business, but it'll do enough. It's going to be something with a lot of buzz to it, awards-wise. So, and that's another thing to look for in the next couple of weeks, too. With the Golden Globes being this weekend, we will probably get our first sense of what might happen with the Oscars after this weekend. We haven't really had much of a sense of that because it's been very kind of back and forth. After this weekend, we'll probably have some idea on how things are going to unfold for the rest of the award season with the Oscars. And once that happens, once the Golden Globes happen, some of these movies that have awards buzz start to get a little bit more viewership. You know, more people are going to be apt to go see them. You know, you might, I mean, and something like The Revenant, which really hasn't been included yet. You might have to wait for the Academy Awards for that, but you know, stuff like Creed and stuff like The Big Short, those kind of movies, which, you know, haven't maybe gotten a lot of traction so far, will start gaining a little bit because of the fact they'll get a little more exposure from these award shows and such. So that's something to keep an eye on too. If you're looking at other movies, like some of the holiday holdovers, most importantly Star Wars, Hateful Eight, Daddy's Home, those movies, you know, they might start to lose a little business because some of these movies with awards buzz start to pick up a little bit too. So that's basically the story going into this weekend and really beyond here. And then next weekend, Martin Luther King weekend, which is always a big weekend at the box office, and you start to see movies get a little bit of a boost because you got the holiday off on Monday. You have 3 new releases. 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. You have Norm of the North, an animated film, and a Ride Along 2, which an action kind, which I actually expect to be the movie that dethrones Star Wars, to be honest, because Kevin Hart's got that kind of drawing power. So, yeah, so that will be a big box office weekend, and you include that with Star Wars as well. So that will be a big box office weekend. Later in the month, you got Dirty Grandpa and The Fifth Wave, all which are expected to do well. So the competition starts to build. You got a couple among that group, some big movies that are expected to do well. And then in February, and then you got Kung Fu Panda, 50 Shades of Black, which is a comedy that a lot of people are interested in, apparently. And then you go into February and you got some big opportunities there to draw business. So it's going to be a big year. There's a lot of big movies, and we keep talking about that the last couple of years, where weekends, even in months that don't usually have a lot of business, although January's become a pretty big month. You know, you got multiple big movies come out, multiple movies that could do well. Well, you're seeing that in full force in 2016. You've been seeing that every year progressively over the last couple of years, but in 2016, it really starts to become known how different the movie industry is now with how they release their movies, and how there really isn't a true break, except for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year for big releases anymore. So, Mike, you have any thoughts to add before we move on?
It was a bomb.
What?
You wonder why they spent this much money on this movie? Point Break.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Point Break had an $105 million budget.
Whoever signed that check needs to be fired. I mean, seriously.
I'm pretty sure whoever signed that check did get fired. Point Break had $105 million budget. It only grossed $22 million in America.
Ooh.
However, it grossed $58 million worldwide, meaning it could make its production budget back, maybe, as it gets slaughtered by Star Wars everywhere. There's an outside chance of getting its production budget back. That does not mean anything. It's embarrassing, but it's all hilarious. Alvin and the Chipmunks might be not profitable as well. I'm hoping so we never get another Alvin and the Chipmunks movie again. But other than that, like, there's not a whole lot to talk about. It's actually Star Wars, and then it's everybody else. Although Will Ferrell proved that he still has a bit of drawing power with Daddy's Home, which didn't get insane amounts of what's the word, press, but it got enough, as it's what, number 2 for the second weekend in a row. So I guess people kind of wanted to see Daddy's Home.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted to. It kind of looked terrible. It actually looked really terrible. But, well, let's be honest here. Star Wars is going to dominate everything until Ride Along 2 comes out. End of discussion.
Yeah. Yep. So really, this weekend, let's see how far the Star Wars thing can go. Everyone's going to be keeping an eye on China and how it does there. And then, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, the week I think it's going to be dethroned by Ride Along 2. We'll see how it does there. When the weekend that usually gets a big boost. How Star Wars does this month, really the beginning of a new year for the box office. Those are the big things going forward here. And we'll obviously talk about them along the way here as we go along. Let's get now to something. Let's get to something else. I'm going to briefly mention, we talked earlier about American Idol when we talk about our the beginning of the process for our all-time performance rankings list. But briefly, I want to acknowledge something, and this is something that a lot of you wanted to talk about. We're going to be talking a lot about. We didn't do a lot of Idol talk the last couple of years, but it's the last season. Number of you commenting, sending me emails, talking about last night's show. I did get to watch it. I'm going to make it a point to watch the show more this year. I haven't watched it so much the last couple of years for obvious reasons. It was nice that they. It was nice they kind of threw back to the first season, the way it was edited, the way it was done. They didn't focus too much on bad vocalists. They had a couple that they said no to that weren't bad. They were just not ready. The judges had fun. That was good. The only thing I would say is this: while I did like the fact they got people like Ruben, Clay, Taylor Hicks, Chris Allen, all back, Read the Lies, all back, and we're going to see them, I guess, throughout the next couple shows. We saw a lot of Ruben last night and Taylor last night. I guess it was per city. They brought them to different cities. But while I was very happy about that, they didn't do enough with them to make it really important. We saw them sparingly throughout the show. If you're going to do that, later on they'll do a more impactful thing with them. But if you're going to do that, let's be honest here. People are going to want to see more of that. It would have been better if they actually were on the panel with the judges, which they've done before in past seasons, as a guest judge, instead of having them be in the cattle call auditions before they get to the judges. That way you actually use them a little bit more, and if you're than just having them appear and getting a few quick little moments of them. But a big story last night was Clay Aiken going off on Twitter about the judges, saying that a couple of the judges' reactions, a couple of things they said were boring. If that were Simon Cowell, he would have made it a little more interesting. Because apparently Clay said he hasn't watched the show in like a decade, which I can believe.
Nobody else has either.
Yeah, pretty much. So I can believe that, and I get what he's saying, but at the same time too, Simon was Simon. Okay, this is not Simon Cowell. And we already tried the whole Harry Connick Jr. try to be Simon Cowell thing 2 seasons ago. And it didn't really work. So, you can't make these people be something they're not. They want to be more constructive. Yeah, that is a little more boring, but they're trying to get the focus more on the vocalists and not necessarily on what the judges do. Um, but he has, you know what? I don't really argue. I can't really disagree with him either because it is a little bit more of a boring kind of thing. I mean, if you're not interested in the contestants, you're just watching to see the reactions of the judges, then which for a longest time was just as much a part of the show, then I can get it. But he did kind of, it was funny because he started out like, oh, it's great, and I can't wait to sit down and watch it. And then it was like, wow. He kind of went off there for a little bit, but I see what he's saying. And on a whole, it was a good show. There was some really good stories. The husband and wife that brought the baby on, where one of them got through and the other didn't. You all knew that was going to go somewhere tense, quick, and it kind of did. And I hope everything worked out there because that was very awkward to watch, to be honest. Awkward to watch in that, you hope that if they're both going to audition, either they both don't get through or they both get through because that it's there's going to be tension if one gets through and the other doesn't. So you're kind of just hoping that they either both went or both didn't, and that's not what happened. It kind of ended in a tense way. So hopefully everything worked out there. The husband.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, it was a very confusing thing because the judges said, because they were very positive people, they are worship leaders, and they're very nice people. But the judges claimed because they brought their little baby girl in with them, and the mother was, kind of, interacting with her, making the baby smile and that, and she played a ukulele and she did a Bruno Mars song, and she wasn't bad, but she wasn't like. And I agreed with them not sending her through because I didn't think she was, it was kind of like more like a Broadway kind of thing. So I agreed with them not sending her through. But then they had the husband step up. And one of the reasons why they said that they didn't put her through either was because they said that her family being into the baby, and that was kind of distracting. The whole thing was a little too, it was too light. It was maybe a little too happy, a little too, which people are going to say, well, wait a minute, don't you want to be happy? I mean, I guess they just thought it was a little too much. The husband gets up there and does a Celine Dion song because he's apparently a big Celine Dion fan. And he wasn't bad. I didn't think he was really great either. He wasn't bad, though, to his credit. They put him through, and they said that the judges said they were touched by the fact whenever he looked at his wife, they started to get teary-eyed. So what was really confusing to me was they said that when the wife was up there, they felt like seeing the family in there was a distraction. But when the husband was up there, it added to the performance for them. So it's kind of weird how it bothered them for the wife, but for the husband, they're like, oh, it added to it. I don't understand that, but whatever. I hope everything worked out there. And then, of course, the big moment was they had Kanye West audition at the end of the show, which I thought was a ridiculous publicity stunt, including Kim Kardashian being outside talking to Ryan Seacrest. That was a queer publicity stunt. I mean, it was funny for what it was, but it was a publicity stunt. True and true. But generally, it wasn't a bad start. We'll see what they do tonight. I guess they're going to do a very quick season this year. I guess they're going to they got rid of all the filler. They got rid of a couple of rounds. So I think they're only doing like 2 weeks of auditions. And then I think by the end of January, you're going to be already into the live shows. And then they're going to play it out. There's rumors that once they get to the live shows, the original 3 judges are going to take the place at the table. And then the other, Jennifer Lopez, Keith Urban, and Harry Connick Jr. will be involved in another way. I hope that's what happens. I like the current 3 judges, but if you're going to go out, you got to go out with the original 3. So we'll see if that's what happens. That's a rumor. I haven't heard anything to suggest it's definitely true, but it's a rumor. So we'll see. But it got off to a good start. The ratings weren't that great, but I didn't think they would be because I think most people are just waiting to get to the live shows and waiting to see who comes back. Even though they brought some people back already, again, it wasn't a whole lot in terms of impact and usage. So I think they're going to wait. People are waiting when the live shows start, and if the original 3 judges come back, that's when people will start watching. So it was a good start. It wasn't great. But we'll see. I guess the season's supposed to end in April instead of May, so we'll see how it all plays out. And again, we have our all-time performance rankings list process that started tonight, which people can start submitting for right now by email, Twitter, and Facebook. All right, so I just wanted to briefly kind of get into. We'll talk more about the show, especially once they get to the live shows and the voting and stuff. That's when it gets really interesting. Right now with the auditions, it's always, you know, you keep it general because there's so many auditions and there's really not a whole lot you can talk about early on. So let's talk about something else that aired last night, the People's Choice Awards, which I never put a whole lot of stock in. And you know what's the funny thing is when I was growing up, okay? When I was growing up, this used to be my favorite award show to watch because for me, my favorites always won, or at least something I liked always won. So I was always like, oh, this is great, you know? Oh, yeah, it was great to see my favorites finally win something because the other shows the other awards shows didn't seem to do that. Well, as I grew up, the show changed. It became more about fan bases and not necessarily always about what, was not necessarily not even what the people in general liked. It was just whoever could span the voting box the most. That's why we have the systems we do for our award show. But, that's really what it became about. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because a number of you mentioned this, and you really mention this every year, and it gets more and more pronounced every year when you look at the winners. Obviously, the thing with this award show is the only people that are really in attendance are the people that win, and they know who wins before the show. And that's the only way they can get these people to come because they tell them they want an award. Because nobody else wants to come. Because let's be honest, the Golden Globes are on Sunday. They're all getting ready for that. So, so that's really what happens is that, that people in the audience know they're going to win. So if you look around, you're going to see, you see Sandra Bullock in the audience, you know she's going to win. You know she's going to win something. Last night, they awarded the People's Choice Awards. Fast and Furious 7 won Favorite Movie. Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock won Favorite Movie Actor and Actress. Chris Hemsworth won Action Movie Actor. That's among things. You had Kevin Hart won Comedic Movie Actor. Melissa McCarthy, Comedic Movie Actress. The Martian was a big winner. Johnny Depp, Minions was Favorite Family Movie. Taken 3 won Favorite Thriller Movie. That was probably one of the few choices I agreed with. In the TV categories, Big Bang Theory won TV show, network TV comedy, comedic TV actor went to Jim Parsons, TV actress went to Melissa McCarthy, Grey's Anatomy won network TV drama, Pretty Little Liars won cable TV drama, Kevin Hart won favorite cable TV actor, Like They Threw You a Bone, Person of Interest won favorite TV crime drama.
Yes, I know. I saw that.
That was probably the second thing that was right about these awards. Really, that was really Orange is the New Black won favorite streaming series, which is Bo. I thought for sure the one thing I would say be praising was the fact that Daredevil won that because I thought that's what would win it. But
Orange, no, Brian. Orange is the New Black was going to win.
Shut up, Mike. But anyway,
I can't wait. I can't wait for Purple as the new Space Ghost.
True. But yeah, and they had their music categories and look. The reason why I'm bringing this up is this, and I swear we talk about this every year. You all know we have our issues with the Golden Globes and the Oscars and politics and everything.
I'm sorry, I gotta stop you. Beauty and the Beast won favorite network sci-fi fantasy TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty and the Beast. I think I took a Beauty and the Beast earlier in the toilet. I'm not talking about the Disney classic. So,
listen. My problem with this show is this. All right, the Oscars and the Golden Globes is politics, and you all know my thing. My favorite of all the awards is probably, if it's not the Critics' Choice, it's the Golden Globes because I feel like there's more choices there that I can agree with. They don't always get it right, but there's more I can agree with. But even the Golden Globes are starting to lose it. Um,
Outlander won what? What sci-fi cable show?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, favorite cable sci-fi fantasy TV show, Outlander.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but in a world where Doctor Who exists, Outlander shouldn't be winning jack and or shit.
Let me just say this.
And considering Doctor Who exists in this world, Outlander shouldn't have won it. And I don't care how stupid these awards are.
What really, like I said, politics are prevalent in Golden Globes and the Oscars, and even the Critics' Choice. If you think about it, the People's Choice has a different politics.
Yes, it's called Children.
It's called teenagers, tweens. And let's be honest, that's really what it is, because they're the ones that will be able to sit in front of their computer and spam the voting. You ain't going to see somebody over the age of 30 do that. I'm not going to sit there and go, I got my favorite actor has to win favorite comedic TV actor. I'm going to sit here for 3 hours and vote. No.
I must make sure Jim Parsons wins.
No, let's be honest. Nobody over the age of 30 is going to do it. Probably nobody over the age of 25 is going to do that. It's just the bottom line. You might see maybe somebody will vote once because they happen to come across the voting or something, But you ain't going to see them spam the voting box. You'll have these, and I'm not going to say just girls. It'll be boys too. Young teenagers, tweens will sit there and they will go, "Oh, I have to get my favorite to win." They get all their friends together and they spam. They spam the voting, and that's why you get the results you get. Because it wasn't always. You go back to the People's Choice Awards in the '90s. You would look at it and go, "All right, that's not bad," and you'd be happy with it. I mean, you might have seen a bad choice here and there, but you're going to always get that. Now you look at, I think it's pretty much from like 2005 on. It's atrocious. Like you look at it, and this is not to degrade anybody that won. Some of my favorite actors and actresses, some of my favorite movies of last year were awarded awards last night. It's just the fact that
like Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, or Johnny Depp, or Fast and Furious 7 was a really good movie.
Person of Interest won, Nathan Fillion won, right. Stana Katic won.
I mean, I like a lot of the people that won. It's just that, let's be honest for a second. It's all just popular. It's a popularity thing. It's fan bases, and it's who can spam the voting box the most. We've seen that in past years with Twilight and everything. That's what it is. Because here's the thing.
Hold on. Favorite cable TV sci-fi fantasy show. The nominees were American Horror Story, Game of Thrones, Outlander, and Walking Dead.
How the heck did Walking Dead lose?
Thrones. How is Doctor Who not nominated? Favorite sci-fi fantasy TV actor. David Tennant was up.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he was up for Jessica Jones because if people still think he's the Doctor, there's a huge issue. I'm assuming he was up for Jessica Jones. Good Lord. No, really. Good Lord. What the hell? Simpsons beat South Park. That shouldn't have happened. Favorite new TV drama? Supergirl. I honestly haven't seen Supergirl, so I don't know. And when One Direction can't even win the Teen Awards. Favorite group? Fifth Harmony, One Direction, and then Maroon 5, and then good bands like Imagine Dragons. Nah. And like when Luke Bryan can't even get the tweens to friggin' come out and vote for him, he lost to Blake Shelton. This is a teen thing.
It really is. It really is just about what teens and get their fan bases the most motivated. Because let's be honest here, you look at this, if we go by just general fan bases, not just teens and tweens, general fan bases, you'll have shows like Doctor Who, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. You'll have shows like Daredevil. Like those fan bases would rally, and they're not just teens and tweens. They're people in their 20s, their 30s, 40s, etc. They're huge fan bases that cross age, gender boundaries, everything. And so it's not just an age thing. And we found this out. That's really what ultimately hurt American Idol too for the longest time. I hate to bring it back to, but that's the truth. That's why you had the same kind of winners for the longest time, was because you had teens and tween girls voting all the time, and they were able to vote more than a lot of people because they were more motivated.
So why the hell is there a favorite YouTube star category? And I haven't heard of any of these people, to be quite honest with you.
Dude, I don't know. I even forgot these award shows were on. That award show was on last night. Only thing I've been paying attention to is the Golden Globes. To be honest.
Honestly, if there's a favorite YouTube star category, it's just like you're negating your entire thing. Even though Person of Interest won and Taken 3 won and Fillion and Statocatic won and all these good winners, and favorite video game, Super Smash Brothers.
That's not
okay. Bad. I like Super Smash Brothers. It's a good game. Favorite social media star. I don't know any of those people.
One of our
celebrity. Britney Spears.
Yeah, one of our fans just emailed me and they said maybe the reason why Taken 3 and Person of Interest won was some of our In the Spotlight listeners went in and voted for us to throw us a bone.
I appreciate that. So
they tried to redeem the People's Choice Awards for us by having those two win.
Unfortunately, when the favorite song of the People's Choice Awards features Justin Bieber, there is no hope. Abandon all hope, ye who watch this.
You know what's funny? You know what told me that this was on last night? Not that I saw the winners, but I was on my Facebook page today and I saw, because I followed Clark Gregg. I saw a picture of Clark Gregg and Ming Na Wen they presented last night. And that's what reminded they said they presented at the People's Choice Awards. I was like, oh, those were on last night. Well, let me see who won. I looked at the list. And I was like, okay.
Favorite streaming series: House of Cards, Mindy Project. When is the Mindy Project? Did it get kicked off of Fox?
Yeah, I think it moved to Amazon. I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know it got kicked off of Fox. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it got kicked out of Fox. Mindy Project, Orange is the New Black, Transparent, and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I did not find Daredevil on there.
That's an oversight.
That would be the show. That's the show people kind of give a shit about.
House of Cards too. House of Cards.
House of Cards. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, but Daredevil is the one that's a glaring omission there. Definitely. You can't blame it for Jessica Jones, because Jessica Jones didn't come out till November. So
yeah, I haven't seen any of Jessica Jones yet, but that's neither here nor there.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's not good.
No, it isn't. It's not good at all.
What the hell is DailyMail.com's Seriously Popular Award?
Who knows? Who knows?
Bella Thorne, Cara Delevingne, Kylie Jenner, Maddie Ziegler, and Ruby Rose. Why are any of these people up for an award? I don't know.
I will say this much. We already know what will win favorite movie next year, probably.
Star Wars.
More than likely. Unless there's some kind of teen tween thing coming out between now and then.
Probably, because teens are stupid.
Although
I don't know if you know that.
I mean, Fast and Furious 7, I'm not going to go crazy about, but but still, But anyway, it really was a travesty. But again, we've known that for a while with these shows. I really wish they'd get it back to maybe not necessarily online voting. The way they used to do it was you'd look in TV Guide magazine or one of the entertainment publications, Entertainment Weekly, and they'd have a ballot in there. And you check mark the ballot and you send it in. Now, I know we're in the internet age, so you don't do that anymore, but I really wish they just limit the votes to like one per person. If they did that, that might help a lot. That would be very helpful. But then again, you can't. There's no true way to police that.
Well, then they can't say we had 4 million votes this year if you limit it to one per person.
Which is always what American Idol like to do. That's why they didn't want to limit the voting because of that. So
yeah,
it really helps out with selling the show and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, anyway. It happened. It is what it is. I only brought it up because we bring it up every year, and a lot of people ask me about like what's your thoughts on it? Like, look, I think it's a travesty. I wish that they fix it because I like the People's Choice Awards the way they used to be. If they could limit the voting somehow or some way or do something, it would be helpful. It just sucks that, and I don't even like their categories. Like their categories used to be actually now they actually treat it like it's the Teen Choice Awards. It's the same kind of categories.
Why do we need a YouTube Star Award?
I mean, if you look at back in August, if you look at the Kids' Choice and the Teens' Choice Awards, it's the exact same thing as the People's Choice Awards now, the same kind of categories. Why not go back to the old way of the categories where it was like favorite actor in a comedy? Treat it like a serious awards show that's voted on by the people, and it might help. Now you treat it like it's nothing but a glorified online poll. It's just ridiculous, and having just the winners show up, it gives away everything. It's just not treated. It's not taken seriously, and I'm going to rant about it every year until they fix it, because the way it is now, it stinks. Now the Golden Globes are on Sunday. We'll see how that goes. Ricky Gervais is back as host. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how long if he gets fired again after the end of the show, because he's going to ruffle people's feathers. He always does. But we'll see how that goes. Again, we should get our first idea of how the rest of this award season will play out, how the Oscar nominations and such might play out after Sunday night. Should be interesting. It's the first time I can remember, at least in recent years, going into the Golden Globes, not having any idea what might happen, like favorites and stuff. It's kind of wide open for the most part. Although I think animated is pretty much the only category that's not wide open. Inside Out's going to pretty much win everything this award season. So,
but the people chose Minions.
Yeah.
People chose Minions.
Yeah, all right. Throw Minions a bone. I'll reconcile that one a little bit, but you know what? We'll see what happens.
Brian, that movie was ass.
You saw it?
I saw enough of it.
I was disappointed too. I was very disappointed in that movie, actually.
If you have any inclination to see Minions, stop what you're doing. Go watch Despicable Me 1 and 2, and then don't ever think about that movie again.
Yeah.
That is your response for Minions.
Yes.
I have saved you 2 hours. And the only reason why I know about Minions is because I work in the field dealing with kids.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. Yeah. Oh, it was awful.
But yeah, so we'll get an idea about the rest of award season because People's Choice Awards don't matter for anything as far as this goes. But we'll get an idea of the award season, how it's going to unfold, the Oscar nominations, and so on after Sunday. It's going to be interesting. It's wide open. Maybe everything pretty much wide open, really, in my opinion. But the animated movie race. We'll see how it goes. It should be interesting. We'll talk about the Golden Globes next week's show. How the winners and how it all unfolds and all that. We didn't talk about the nominations, but we'll talk about the winners. And I wasn't really happy with the nominations, but I will admit I am interested to see how some of these, what really some of these races are gonna go, who wins. I'm interested in a little bit of it, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so I wanted just to say my piece on the People's Choice because again, we ran about it every year, but with good reason. So, really quick before we do TV highlights and wrap up, an interesting casting bit today. That a number I wasn't going to talk about this, but a number of you were pushing for it because you want to know our thoughts. Because, um, we have talked a little bit in the past few months about how Disney has been developing a lot of their animated movies into live action film. It's been a big trend, and it's some people like it, some people don't. Some people it depends on the movie, and some people this doesn't depend on anything. They just don't like it. Um, well, one of the rumored movies over the last couple months has been a Cruella de Vil movie in the same vein as Maleficent, where it'd be an origin story for the villain. Um, well, we got our first bit of casting news today, or potential casting news today. Apparently, Emma Stone is in talks to play Cruella de Vil in the live action movie, um, which I believe there's no director attached yet. So I mean, it's supposed to start shooting later this year, but who knows when it'll be out. But Emma Stone is apparently in talks to play Cruella de Vil, who we already had one live action adaptation of Cruella de Vil in the form of Glenn Close, who played her brilliantly. 101 Dalmatians, of course, was already brought to live action back in the late 90s, and then it got a sequel in the early 2000s as well. So a lot of people are kind of not exactly on board with this. I mean, and that says a lot because Emma Stone's a really good actress, and she's one of the favorite people and one of the more popular actresses in Hollywood right now. But a lot of people are not happy with this. First of all, a lot of people weren't happy when they saw, Cruella de Vil as one of the potential live action offers because they didn't feel like it was necessary. Even though Maleficent did very well, a lot of people were burned by it, and rightfully so. It was not at all what it was represented to be. It kind of was a completely different take on Sleeping Beauty, and she ended up not trying to spoil anything, but she ended up not even being a villain in the end. So that has a lot of people worried about how Cruella de Vil will play out, whether she'll be a villain in the end or not, or they'll give her some kind of redemption kind of story. And then, of course, there's the casting, which people are upset about today, thinking that while Emma Stone's a really good actress, there's nobody that's going to top Glenn Close. At one point, I heard Charlize Theron was tossed out there as a potential Cruella de Vil, although she's also played the Evil Queen in a number of our incarnations. So I don't know how that would have, people might have felt like that was a little too much. But anyway, Emma Stone in negotiations. Mike, your thoughts on Emma Stone, Cruella de Vil?
I think it's a good bit of casting if you're going to go through with this. Emma Stone's a fantastic actress, and I have no doubt that she's going to pull it off. However, as a child of the 90s, I did see that 101 Dalmatians, like live action. And Glenn Close got that so right. Like, she pulled off, like, a perfect performance. She got that so right, it makes you wonder, why the fuck is Disney even going back to that? Why would you need to? They did it right the first time. So here we are. I guess we're going to have this. See, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. I would just kind of stick with the original 101 Dalmatians, re-release it on Blu-ray, and make it a big deal. Like, oh, here's a 20th anniversary edition of this, or the 30th anniversary edition of this. Oh, whatever.
Right.
20th, 25th. Kind of highlight Glenn Close because she did it right. There is no other actress in Hollywood who could get it that right. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're going to do it, you got a great actress for it. But the problem is, why even do it? There is no need to have an origin movie for Cruella de Vil, especially since it sucked ass, dick, and the grundle. Let's face it.
I will look. Angelina Jolie played the heck out of Maleficent, but
Oh yeah, she was fine.
she was great. I mean, but here's the thing: they really botched that, and it made a lot of money. That's why they're going to make a sequel, which I think is ludicrous. But look, it's she was amazing that way. But here's the thing: I don't mind doing the live action adaptation. I look forward to Beauty and the Beast. I'm looking forward to Jungle Book. Like, you know what? I don't mind that. But you already did 101 Dalmatians, and you know what they're well, we're doing the villain origin. Why do we have to have origins for the villains?
We don't need. That's like saying we need origins for Pongo's grandma and grandpa.
Right. I mean, why do we need that? See, I was on board with the origin of Maleficent because the original idea that was pitched was really interesting, like seeing how she became Maleficent, and then I thought from there we'd just see Sleeping Beauty. That would have been fine.
Yeah, let's see how she became Maleficent, and that's fine if in the end she's actually Maleficent and not,
not the hero.
Who the fuck we
got. That was the issue. Like, I don't mind that you want to do that, but play it out. But she should end up the way we expect her to end up. We shouldn't be changing really canon, and that's what they did. And look, I don't mind. I don't. If you're going to do it, at least stay true to the character. But my fear is, and people have a right to fear it because of how Maleficent turned out. You're going to do this. You're going to end up having Cruella be some misunderstood diva. Is that what we're going to do?
Yes.
That's because they did that with Maleficent. She was a fairy that lost her wings, and that was. I mean, great. I mean, normally we'd be all like, okay, you're not going with a one-note villain, but these are fairy tale movies you're bringing to life. All right, bring them to life the right way. If you want to focus on one particular character in that canon, fine. But in the end, they should be what we expect them to be. If they're not going to be that, then don't do it. I love Emma Stone. If I were Emma Stone, I'd be like, wait a minute. Are we going to do the character justice? Because, first of all, Glenn did this back in the 90s, and she was brilliant, and she was. That's a hard... I like Emma, but that's a very tough act to follow, and you have an actress that nailed the character. Like, it was like you brought the character to life right out of the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfect. You can't do that any better. You can't. Emma's going to do great. It's just that she's going to be compared to Glenn no matter how good she does because she's just never going to be what that performance was.
Yep.
So you're putting her in an awkward position. I mean, you can't really blame her for taking the job. It's a paycheck, and she's probably going to have a lot of fun with it, but look, I'm on board for these live-action adaptations, but you do not need to do this with every single property. And the villain thing is if you're going to do it, make sure the character ends up the way the character should be. If you're not
what do you mean we don't need live-action? Aren't we getting live-action Jungle Book again?
Yeah, well, we've had that like 8 times, so I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look forward to it because it looks good, but at least I can deal with you doing another version of something that's been done before you do something like Maleficent. I can deal with that. But, again, we don't need to be doing this for every property over and over and over again or doing it for every property in general. And if you're going to do the villains or you're going to do any character for any of these movies, make sure they stay true to that character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm all in favor of artistry and character-driven stories and everything, but these are fairy tales. These aren't, we're not. No, we don't need to be doing that. Okay, stay true to the characters. I like Emma; she'll do great, but this, to me, it's a worrisome kind of thing. But anyway, all right, let's wrap up here with any TV highlights any of us may have. Well, I spent my week watching college football bowl games, college basketball, and football. I have not watched anything. A lot of my shows did not come back till this week anyway. I didn't get a chance to watch Gallivant, which is something I really wanted to watch. Blacklist comes back tonight. I'll be watching that at some point. But I really didn't get the chance to watch anything. Oh, I watched American Idol, and I already talked about that. So I didn't get the chance to watch anything outside of sports. So I don't have any. Mike, do you have any TV highlights that you'd like to mention?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go for it.
There was a show long ago. It aired this Sunday. I believe it was called Gallivant. Just sit there and watch the first episode. The second one kind of goes off the rails a little bit again, but the first one, it was really good. And the second one had highlights as well. So I recommend Gallivant, although I'd recommend Sherlock more. Sherlock had The Abominable Bride. It was brilliant. It was honestly brilliant. So if you're really going to go out of your way to watch something this week, find a way to go watch Sherlock the Abominable Bride. Because that was brilliant. They did it again. I don't know if I talked about it before, but I'm talking about it again, so fuck off. But Gallivant was good. There was a plot device used. At this point, it's just kind of like, why are we even bothering with it? It was funny in that they used it in a medieval setting.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, it's like, come on.
Right.
We're really doing this. Okay, it was awkward to watch. But hey, Gallivant, it was good. And I will give them credit where credit is due. I believe I saw an interview with the creators of Gallivant who said, no, we're not going to pull that shit again that we did. So we are going to leave our characters in a better place. And, but we'll obviously leave threads hanging for the next season. Unfortunately, though, when you do Gallivant this season, this plot device that they used kind of made everything like you can kind of guess where the story's going. You made everything predictable, and that is the worst thing you could do for a show like Gallivant, is make the rest of this predictable. But I will say this: Joshua Sass and the Timothy Ormanson, they literally steal the show. They were fantastic, but everybody does good work. Everybody really tries. It's really funny. And I had some really good laugh out loud moments. So go watch Gallivant. It needs your support. Long ago, next season on Netflix, you just might have to stream all Gallivant.
Yeah, I could actually see that happening.
Because ABC probably won't keep it. They don't give a shit right now anyway. So it's just as gonna go.
I'm really looking for. I'm really looking forward to it. You know what? I think I could see it going to streaming. I don't think it's going to be on ABC again after this season, but I can really see it going to streaming. I really could.
I think it'll have an audience on like Netflix or Amazon.
It will.
Because I will say this about.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing about Gallivant. ABC and Disney did not give a crap enough to give it a physical DVD release, to my knowledge. They didn't, no. Disney didn't give Gallivant a physical DVD release. How crappy is that? You can get the soundtrack on Amazon, but you can't get the physical DVD.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I have a feeling Gallivant's going to be on another service, and I think it's going to be I think it'll be like Netflix.
It's definitely a show that plays well in a binge watching kind of way. I mean, that's kind of why ABC, I think, has kind of like always done like the 2-episode nights kind of. It does both. It does play well in a binge kind of sense, because you can. I think the idea is like you watch, like one season can represent like a movie, like a continuous movie. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what they're going for. So yeah, I could definitely see it playing on a streaming thing. We're gonna wind down, but one of our listeners sent this to me, and I was reading it, just a few seconds ago. It's another real breaking piece of wrestling information, because that's been kind of the last couple of days. All it's been breaking news wrestling. Um, Obviously, everybody knows Chris Jericho came back to WWE Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know Jericho comes and goes. He's done some house shows, for the most part the last couple of them, but he hasn't had like a sustainable return. He was supposed to come back in September. When he came back in September, supposed to stay for a while. Well, Jericho's making some waves because on his podcast, apparently he described his return as being back for the long haul and not just a typical short-term return.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he said. I'm going to quote this. Let's see. It's not just a one-time thing. I'm back, baby. I'm back for the attack, like Dawkins always said, and I'm in the Royal Rumble, which is now for the World Heavyweight Championship. So maybe I'll become a 7-time world champion, and I will say this. It's going to be a long, wild ride. I've got a lot of plans and a lot of things that are going on. He also responded to criticism of his segment with the New Day this past Monday, and he was not particularly sympathetic. Again, and I quote, because the first part of it I mentioned already was about him being back for the long haul. Here's the other quote. I love so many things about the wrestling business, and I love all of you fans, but man, some of you complain a lot.
It's true.
Which is my favorite part. It's like, oh, Jericho is returning. How many surprise returns is Jericho going to make? As many as I want, baby, because I still love doing it and I still have fun doing it. Why was it terrible comedy? Because I started a Rudy Tooty Booty chant? You mean that's not if you smell what The Rock is cooking level of comedy? The thing is, it works. It's fun because it's a New Day. Their whole gimmick is based around being goofy, and I knew that I could get people to chant Rudy Tooty Booty. So if you weren't there and you didn't like it, tough luck, because the people in San Antonio loved it. If that's bad humor and you didn't laugh, oh, I'm sorry. Go watch some Soren Kierkegaard or something like that. Go watch some Peter Sellers movies or something, because I thought it was funny, and it was a catchphrase that was chanted throughout the show, and they'll probably make a damn T-shirt out of it. Yes, I called them Green Day, which some people went, you said the wrong name, Green Day. Hello, go back to see Chris Jericho's previous promos where I mispronounced people's names. I thought Green Day was perfect. Another thing a lot of people didn't pick up on is I basically transcribed my very first promo, the debut in 1999, and kept it very much the same and reapplied it to what was going on right now. So it was a blast. End quote.
Yeah.
Wow, he went after fans.
He was good.
I didn't have a problem with the New Day thing. I don't know what.
No.
It was typical Jericho, really.
Entertaining segment. I don't understand why people had an issue with it. But then again, people have an issue with everything, so who cares?
I mean, look, a lot of people online don't like to see Jericho because it's the same thing. And people complain he puts too many people over. Isn't that what people want? Isn't people putting people over?
Yeah.
I mean, he knows his role. He comes in, he makes an entertaining program, and he helps out, and he goes about his business and leaves. I mean, look, it's fine as long as he can still wrestle, and he's, which I'm sure he can. Because he's not the type of guy that would come back if he can't still do it. I don't have an issue with it. I'm glad he kind of went off on people about it, because I did see a lot of criticism of that promo, and I didn't get it. I don't know why people would criticize it. And he is right. They do complain a lot, but we all do, so whatever. All right, we're going to wind down. Also, I'm seeing on Facebook, Mike, apparently Walt Disney released the first footage from Moana.
From what?
From Moana.
Oh, Moana, okay.
Yeah. Apparently they released the first footage from it. I don't know where, but it's trending, so that's interesting. All right, so we'll start to wind down here. So if anybody wants to check out the first footage from that movie, go check it out, I guess. We'll wind down as always. The show might be over. It does not mean you have to stop interacting or contributing to our show or interacting with any of us. You can continue to give us your feedback, questions about the show, scheduling of the show, topic ideas, breaking news items you want to see us cover, reactions or comments on the show, anything we covered, anything we said. Any of those things you can do via email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please use the hashtags, hashtag IT Spotlight 411 or hashtag ITS5, which represents our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. Please use those hashtags if you can. Helps promote the show, and it's very helpful in us finding tweets about the show. We also encourage you to follow us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and make sure you like our page upon finding it. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially as it relates to scheduling. Very important for our football shows on Fridays as well. It helps in case we ever have to change times last minute or anything like that. As I said at the beginning of the show, we are having some technical issues with the new host site, Podbean, and also transferring shows to iTunes, so bear with us on that. But the new host site on Podbean is up and running, and if you still want to search for us on iTunes, feel free to do so. The search for In the Spotlight 401 on both sites. That's Podbean and iTunes, and of course, you can also keep up with our shows. If you're not getting on Podbean and iTunes, you'll be searching for us in audio format. But if you're okay with checking this out in streaming format, visual format, you can continue to search for us here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube by searching for us under our title In the Spotlight 411, and you'll find our channel, be able to access this episode or any of our past episodes since we debuted here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube back in October. So if you want to catch up in a streaming way or visual way, you can do that here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. And if you're interested in more or less checking us out in an audio format, you check us out on Podbean and on iTunes, where you can find all of our old episodes, both from our days back on Garden and from RS In the Spotlight 411. It's really helpful. I don't have to keep talking about TalkShoe and all these other places. I don't have to go through a bunch of reminders and stuff. It's helpful. Everything's in one place. Oh, it's so convenient. All right. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Bedtime.
I want to thank myself for another great show. Pat myself on my back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching, and to those that will be checking us out on audio format later, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much again. The process for the American Idol All Times Performance Ranking List has begun. Early submissions, you can start sending in now via email, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can do that. Again, you got till January 21st to do that. On January 28th, we will announce the first wave of nominees for you all to vote on for that particular feature that we'll be doing. Next Thursday, we will begin the process for the In the Spotlight Film Awards. Also, next week, we'll get another 3-show week. Tuesday, sports and wrestling. Thursday, entertainment, which, again, will include the start of the film awards. And, of course, we'll have a football show next week as well, more than likely on Friday. But our next football show and our next show in general is tomorrow. The In the Spotlight Football Blitz will be coming at you tomorrow here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Look back at last week's NFL games and last week of the regular season. Look ahead to wild card weekend in the NFL, talk about all the bowl games, preview the national championship game next week, all that on tomorrow's Football Blitz show coming at you at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube, so make sure you join us for that. So that's the lay of the land. That's all the information you need to know. I hope you have a great rest of your night and a great start to your day tomorrow. We'll see you back here for the In the Spotlight Football Blitz tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night, everybody. Uh-oh.